Feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.
Hey everyone, this is Mark Scribner, your host of the Shrimp Tank Boston. Today we have Bryce Clontz from New View Surgical Inc. based out of Boston. We're going to bring him on in just a minute. It's a cool technology. I think there's a Star Wars analogy that I saw a couple days ago. Just crazy technology. And being in Boston, it's amazing with some of the innovation that's happening here. You can follow this show, all our shows, by smashing that like button, if you will. You can follow some of our prior guests that are also very interesting. The show is nationally syndicated on iHeart, Spotify, Google, Stitch, basically anywhere that you can get your podcasts, you could find the show. You can also check out the shrimptank.com/Boston to click on some prior shows as well. With that said, I'm excited to bring on Bryce from New View. He's the CEO and president of this really disrupting technology, in my opinion. We're going to talk about some of the leadership skills that he's been able to bring through his entire career globally, through Asia, the farthest reached markets that you'll see. Bryce has been able to work for some really big companies and apply that back to his company now. So with that said, Bryce, welcome to the show. And I want to get into the technology and really talk about your leadership skills and how you're able to launch this product.
Hey, great, Mark. Really excited to be with you today. Thanks for having me. I look forward to talking about what we're doing, and thanks for the time today.
So let's get into what your product is right out of the gate, because I don't think maybe there's a video that we'll actually post in the show description where someone could see. I know you have a really cool YouTube video, but what does New View Surgical do, and what is the product that you think that's going to be an industry disruptor?
Yeah, so New View Surgical is working in the minimally invasive surgery space. So that's where instead of creating a large incision, if surgeons need to perform surgery largely in the abdomen or the chest, it's last 20 or 30 years, surgeons have really moved into minimally invasive surgery. They make very small incisions. They put long instruments through those incisions. And then interestingly, they have to use a camera and view the surgery and view the anatomy on a monitor because they can't see, the anatomy through those small incisions. It's really cool technology. But one of the things that we're doing is we've seen, and I've been in the industry in a long time, like your intro suggested, is that the technology to deliver minimally invasive surgery and that camera that I spoke about really hasn't changed much in 40 years. It's expensive, it's cumbersome. There's a lot of training and technique that's required at the operating room table from the surgeon and the surgical team to see the anatomy and to do adequate minimally invasive surgery. And so we've developed a new product using a lot of really state-of-the-art camera technology, sensor technology to miniaturize, simplify, and dramatically cost reduce the camera technology that's used by those surgeons, and to just combine a lot of that equipment that's used into an easy-to-use technology for the surgical team that we think is going to have a huge impact on surgery and really allow not only change in the U.S., but in international emerging markets, really allow more patients to have minimally invasive surgery, which allows for better outcomes, shorter recovery times, and is just a much better way to do surgery.
Now, how long would something like this this is your first product in this space, I would assume. How long does something like this take from vision all the way into execution?
Yeah, it's a 3-4 year development cycle, and I think when I joined the company, I'm not the founder, but I was brought on very early on with a couple of patents, and translating those patents into an idea, getting the right team and the partners together to build that technology, and then test it in a way that's appropriate, not only with customers and surgeons, but technically in preparation for your FDA submission is a good 3 to 4 year process. And I think a learning is you come in with an expectation that it'll be a year or two, but it's almost always a 3 or 4 year process to get it done correctly, meet the technical challenges and overcome them, and do so with a smaller team and fewer financial resources than you might have at a large company. So to execute across all those, good 3, 4, maybe even 5 year process to get ready to commercialize a product like we have.
Bryce, now I alluded to your vast experience globally in some of the other companies that you work for. How important was that experience, especially you mentioned the regulatory process and having that skill set to be effectively able to navigate through, the regulatory aspect. How important, is your skill set and your current position?
Yeah, and I've been fortunate. I've been in med device my entire career, 25, 30 years now. I've worked for startups and large companies. And I think the combination of that experience brings a lot of valuable things to trying to do something like this, which can be challenging and you have to overcome a lot of things. And also the network and the people you get to know through those experiences can really be helpful in something like this. So there's a certain practical approach. How do you bring a product to market? What do you need to do to submit it for to the FDA for clearance or the CE mark internationally? What technical challenges you may or may not face. So this experience comes to the table with that, and I think that you can navigate those challenges. And like I said, just draw on a network of experience of other folks that you build throughout a career to really help you get organized and then face the many challenges you face in trying to bring a technology like this to market. And then the only other thing I'd say is I do have, international emerging market experience. A lot of that was just going greenfield, going into a market, trying to assess that market, understand what the customer needs are, and bringing a product to market, not only technically but commercially in very difficult environments. And I think, as a startup, that's what you're doing. You're building something from the ground up, and just having that experience brings confidence that challenges can be overcome. You've got the right mindset to face the various issues you have, and know that you can be successful even in difficult environments and facing a lot of challenges, many of which you don't even know exist until you're on the ground. So all of that comes together, and I think it certainly helps when trying to do something like this.
Now, I would assume a product like this with the sophistication and the technical aspects, it's a pretty capital intensive type of endeavor. How did you go about, in the structure and kind of your capital stack? Did you go the angel route? Did you go the private equity? Like, how difficult for our folks that might be watching that, have a product or they're in the beginning stages? Maybe you could walk through kind of like how you approach, the fundraise and all that.
Yeah, and so we've been very fortunate to raise a fair amount of money through angels, and I'll get a little bit how that happened. But to get the product into the 510K, we raised just over $4 million. We were very efficient with that money. It could arguably have cost twice that to get this done. So a lot of that was team and experience to use that capital efficiently. We raised a little over 4 million through angels to start, and just a month ago raised another 9 million to support commercialization of the device. So you can do it for 10 to 15 million dollars to get to this point, but it is important that you understand how to use that capital efficiently. We did that by staying virtual. We did not hire a lot of employees, build out a lot of infrastructure. We stayed nimble and flexible through that process. I think going to angels was just by nature of how you raise money for medtech these days. And when you're looking for $2, $4, $6 million, it's really that angel class of investor for which that number is right. Right? VCs, larger private equity, are looking to put in a lot more money in the company. The math works for them if they put in a lot of money and get a return of hundreds of millions in dollars versus tens of thousands. So it's by nature of the amount of money we were raising that we embarked on an angel raise. And I can go into that more, but that's an effort. It's, a lot of angel groups, a lot of pitching, pitch to 100 angel groups. Each one of them is putting in 200, 250, 300,000 collectively across their membership, with $25,000, $50,000 checks per member. So to even raise 2 million, let alone 4, that's a lot of angel groups. That's a lot of individual investors putting in $25,000 to $50,000. So that's a little bit of kind of why and how it started that way. And if you care to, we can get into some of the.
No, I think that's extremely valuable. And maybe just your net takeaway, like what if people want to go that route, like what's the most important thing that they should think about if they're going to be presenting in front of that type of audience?
Yeah, and fundamentals of fundraising come first. So understand your product and the value it's going to bring. Understand how it's going to be translated from a product to a business, because investors are going to care about that. And then spend time understanding what's in it for the investor. Why would an investor want to invest in your company, and tell that story? So a lot of it is about the pitch deck, the story, and just getting prepared to go in front of that audience. And then after that, it's persistence. Bit of networking. It's just like angels or VCs or anybody else. It's just who you know and getting into the network. And usually you need a champion to get into an angel group. So there's just a lot of networking that goes on. And other than that, just a heck of a lot of persistence because you're going to pitch a lot. The classic story, you're going to get a lot of no's. First time you go to an angel group, you may raise $100,000. And then you go back to that group and you've created momentum. And now you raise 200,000 more and you're chipping away at that $4 million. But that takes a lot of time and persistence. And when I mentor other CEOs who are just getting started, especially with angel investing, it's often not appreciated that this is a months-long process, well over a year, to raise your first million or $2 million. So a lot of it is just about hitting the pavement, building that network and persisting, and just understanding it's going to take quite a while to chip away at raising this kind of money. But ultimately, with that persistence, you can be successful and build an exciting company along the way.
You mentioned something about the market size, and could we maybe talk a little bit about what the potential you think this could be?
Yeah. And in the introduction, I was excited about the minimally invasive surgery space, but didn't suggest and should have that millions of procedures are done globally in the minimally invasive surgical space. It's a multi-billion-dollar business. And that being said, there's still 50% of patients globally that don't get surgery using these advanced techniques. So you hear even today, even though minimally invasive surgery has been around in the US, developed Europe for 30, 40 years now, this market is still growing at 10%. So we see our opportunity in a multi-billion-dollar market, and our ability to step in and disrupt that market will certainly take some time and we'll chip away at it. But there's big volumes, big dollars associated with the surgical market. And we feel strongly that while the market's been in place for a long time, there's huge areas for growth and development. And we're excited about it. And I think it's necessary if we're going to raise this kind of money and do something in surgery that the market potential exists. So the time, the sweat, the effort, and certainly the returns for the investors are there.
And I play a doctor on TV, but I would assume the technology is since it's minimally invasive, you get improvements on reduced infections, better outcomes from recovery, probably lower costs for the institution and the insurance company because you're not like having to open up someone's complete abdominal cavity or something. Is that accurate?
That's absolutely right. Minimally invasive surgery, it does all of those things. So surgical time, recovery time, lack of patient pain, all the complications that come with putting a big incision into a patient, into an individual, are daunting and cost a lot, let alone cost patient quality of life. What's exciting about our technology is even though minimally invasive surgery in its current approach has offered a lot of those things, we're going to improve on that even further. And I won't get into a lot of the technical details which are here, but we're reducing the number of incisions even further. We're moving from a cleaned and re-sterilized set of equipment that can create infections to a fully disposable system. So the surgeon uses it on a particular patient and doesn't have to use it again. So you eliminate the infection rate. So there are a lot of things that we're doing in this evolution of our technology that are a bit in the weeds from a surgical perspective, but we're excited about because even though minimally invasive surgery has come a long way, those few areas that I addressed, plus some more that we're working on, we can still see improvement. And we're excited about not only that clinical improvement, but on the economic and surgical team efficiency side as well.
In your current mindset in your stage, I know the whole focus right now for you is you're on the 1 yard line, if you will, to get this thing. It's right there. But during that kind of development phase when you're starting this company, do you think about at this point verticals like add-on things, other things that can be added or partnerships, if you will, as you get in and you're like, like whatever it could be, we could do. A sister product or whatever, that's developed. Is that something that kind of germinates?
Yeah, it is, and I'll get to why that sometimes is a challenge as well. But yes, I think something with our what's a platform technology in surgery, and it can be enabling for robotic surgery. Again, I think we're creating value in minimally invasive surgery. There's a lot of new telehealth and surgeon training technologies that we could partner with to make our core platform even that much more exciting. But I also think when you're building a company and you're doing what we're doing and raising, like I said, that the $4 to $9 million, it's often about focus and it's often about executing against your milestones. So for us, just get 510K approval, get ready to go on the market. Now we got to execute on our first in human cases. And that's what the team needs to focus on. And that's where we need to be investing. So what I'm getting at is there's often can be distractions. There are often exciting partnerships and exciting technologies that you can perhaps incorporate. But the challenge on the other side of that coin is you can't lose focus because what really matters is executing on the most critical milestones for this company, not only to perpetuate the company, but to create value and to most efficiently use the capital you've been able to raise. And if you start chasing a lot of shiny objects and cool ideas, that can certainly be distracting. So while I think it's exciting and it does, and those things germinate often, and certainly in my mind as CEO and leading the vision of the company, we also have to kind of refrain the team from focusing too much on those things because we've got to execute the core and move forward as a business.
And that could be potentially overbuilding, the product and looking too far out in the future and just complicating things and not executing
Exactly. That's
in a real
exactly it.
time.
And over investing or spending money chasing interesting ideas, and then all of a sudden you fall short of money or it's taken too much time and you haven't executed against the fundamentals. And for this, building a product, a medical device is complicated. You got to get that done. You got to get it built. You got to get the design freeze, get that product not only into the FDA, but into manufacturing under the auspice of the FDA, which is tricky and it has to be well done. So you got to execute the fundamentals at the same time, build a vision and get the market excited about what you're doing. And then a lot of that is partnerships and networking and building excitement. So I'm not saying one or the other, but I'm just, it's something I'm faced with all the time is what exciting things should we chase and how might that detract from hitting the core milestones and objectives that we need to hit when we do have limited team members and limited funding from which to hit those milestones. So just a challenge you face.
And how did you assemble your team? I mean, do they kind of as this thing started, how do you pick who's on your
Yeah.
team?
Yeah, team is so critical, right? You got a small team, you got to execute. Usually, you've got one person dealing with a particular aspect of expertise, and also, everyone's rolling up their sleeves, right? So you have to have that team and that mindset of people have to do multiple jobs and bring the company forward. I think for me, I had a very good group of founders, some great founders who had already networked a bit around the company. I leveraged my network quite a bit to draw this, and some of it was just new team members bringing someone in they knew. It's all about networking. It's all about personal connections. We have not once gone to a recruiter or gone out on a message board and say we're hiring. I think that'll occur as we grow. But
Right.
our core 10 to 12 team members, we're all word of mouth and networking. And this company and myself have been extremely fortunate in that we've pulled together team members who are passionate, roll up their sleeves, work tirelessly, and fortunately bring the expertise that's been required to face some really interesting challenges, technically and regulatory wise, along the way.
How valuable has starting this company in Massachusetts, Boston, with the storied medical community and biotech and the Modernas of the world and MIT and all that? I mean, if you were doing this in the Midwest, would it be as fast as it's been going?
Yeah, hard to say. And maybe the Boston ecosystem, is fantastic, from biotech and we're in med device. So a lot of the team, that I just talked about pulling together are local. We got a few in Connecticut, but mostly in Massachusetts and in Boston. Our contract manufacturing partner that we're moving to through this next critical phase of bringing this product to market is in southern New Hampshire. So you've got an ecosystem that's been built around medical device in biotech and life sciences for years. So you tend to have expertise, experience, and then network. And quite honestly, the energy around supporting a company like this can just build up that momentum, which is so important for us. So, we're I'm here by happenstance through my prior corporate job, but it's a great place to build a medical device company. Minnesota in the Midwest and Chicago and out west in San Francisco, LA, San Diego are all great. Austin, Texas, all great as well. But Boston's a special place, and it's just great to have that entrepreneurial spirit. A lot of folks know that is a key of Boston's success.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, great place to be.
So I just would like to remind our guests that you can follow us on shrimptank.com/Boston. Definitely smash that like button if you will. Bryce, your information is going to be right below your picture. You can't see it right now, but it will be. For potential partnerships or people interested in learning more about New View Surgical, what is your preferred way for people to reach out to you?
Yeah, take a look at our website. It's building, but it's got a lot on there, including, Mark, the videos you mentioned before on our website, www.newviewsurge.com. So you can go there, take a look at what we're doing. I'm at bclontz@newviewsurge.com, which I think Mark will put up there. Otherwise, you can find me through the website. We're excited to hear from people. You know, it's always about networking and just exploring these ideas while we're going. So really enjoyed the time here. Love to share about our experience. Hopefully it helps some entrepreneurs who are looking to do this kind of thing, and appreciate the time and really enjoyed it. And thank you.
Bryce, thanks for your time, and I hopefully don't get to use your product, but
That's
if
always
I
a
had
side
to,
of
I
it.
know I would recover, and it would be a much better thing for me. But
Yeah.
thanks again. It's a great technology. It's always good when you see a really cool company that's actually doing good, and when those two things kind of collide, it's amazing. So
Yeah.
I wish
And
you a
we're
lot of
really
success.
excited about it. It's been a heck of a journey. We're excited about it and appreciate that.
Great. Thanks again.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
Take care.
I've been feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.